Our next presenter is Amy Sink, and I have had the delight to get to know Amy. I currently serve on the Interior Credit Union Board, and I've had the delight of working alongside Amy, and I've come to know her as a powerhouse of a leader who also listens and cares deeply about our community. So I'm very excited that Amy is willing to be here today and to share her story. And she's definitely been a role model in breaking barriers and serving in a field that is largely not as many women serve in leadership in financial institutions. And so I'm grateful to know her as a friend and as a leader, and I'm very excited that she's going to share her story with you. So welcome, Amy.
Yes, so the people that know me know that I'm always on fire. So, and she's shocked that I can do this in 6 minutes. That's the other thing. So this first picture that you'll see, this is my parents. My parents are both educators, and my dad, clearly, as most daughters, he's my hero. Nothing more than the person who would, man a few words, but never not listen to your dad. My mom, probably my best friend. And as we were growing up, she never used any excuses. So the first thing I would say for my parents, education breaks barriers. There was never a time when it wasn't something that we were going to be educated. I went to IU, I went to Notre Dame, and these two people were always the ones that were about that. When I was 13, I have Crohn's disease and my colon ruptured. I spent a lot of time at Riley's Children's Hospital. So this quote was very meaningful, and mostly because of my mom. She'd never let me use any of that as an excuse. And I would say breaking barriers when it comes to women, we sometimes feel like we're a victim. The other thing, this book, if you haven't read it, Arthur Brooks is an expert on happiness. And happiness, as he likes to talk about it, is a form of a choice. You make a choice to be happy. You don't find your way to happiness. You choose every day how you're going to do that. And I think that's one of the things that I would tell you too. I would tell you, this is my mentor. Her name is Jeanette Moeller. She was the first chairman of the board, women chairman of the board at Teachers Credit Union, which is where I started. And she became a very fierce advocate. And I not only respected her comments and her guidance, but it was her mentorship. So find a mentor. Breaking barriers requires you to have people in your corner. She introduced me to more people than I could ever have met on my own. And I like to be able to say that I passed that on to people. I spent 25 years at Teachers Credit Union, which I think I don't know which one's coming up next, but that one sounds like it's been there for a while. Come on, turn the slides. I think that as I started at TCU, I started in 1987. And working there, I was in the finance area. I did, and I was the CFO. I was the CFO by 1993. So first woman CFO, and was doing that with, obviously, as Gina said, there were very few women around the table. But this quote was in an Elkhart side street. And I think that this really kind of defines what we all need to be worried about. We don't sometimes, it's our day today is we're on a certain journey, but it doesn't have to be our destination. And it is our own place that we have to decide if we're going to do something else. So I do believe that when you decide on a daily basis your course, you make those decisions and you do it with the best intention in mind. We have plenty of people that guide us. So this was my first boss. When I met Rick Rice at Teachers, we had many different things of how we worked on things, but what I would say that I liked about him the most was that he was a fierce advocate for his team. And there were days when I would come into work and he knew that I had small children and I was struggling with what was going on. And what I would tell you about having a boss like that was he gave me permission to be later into work, do things that were more unconventional. And I think what you want to do is be that boss. So breaking barriers, when you get there, be that boss. This is my tribe. These are my women that I hang out with, and all of us should have a good tribe. These are three CEOs that I hang out with all across the country. We were just together this week in DC. Hang out with people that require you to be, that give you the sturdiness and the power that you need to be you. This is my daughter. She's a lawyer. She's supposed to be at this table right here. Your kids are your source of pride. All of us have, children that are, or a lot of us are gifted with children. And she's a lawyer. That's her picture graduating from Case Western Law School. There's no better pride and the breaking barrier of giving your children what it is they need to be successful. And sometimes we take a back seat for our children, and I will tell you, it's worth it. This is our son. That's his picture graduating from Butler. And Robbie's got the endless smile. And unlike a lot of women a lot of times take themselves out. Boys sometimes keep themselves in the game. So to break a barrier, don't take yourself out of the game. This is my husband, and he has been my rock for 35 years. I don't know what I would do in my life without him. And breaking barriers allows for you to have good people. Pick your people, pick the people around you, have good mentors, have a good tribe, have a good partner. This picture is of Hilton Head Island, which we love. I've walked many a times the beach at Hilton Head Island, and you see the sunrise and the sunset. A nice Jimmy Buffett song in the back. And a lot of times walking those beaches, it requires, you had a lot of tough things going through your heads, but your family's around, your kids are around, the peace that it requires you to be. So breaking barriers has a lot of things to do with happiness and having the right people. But it is all possible. And, being at a place like this in Goshen, Indiana, obviously makes that very worthwhile. So thank you.